Should you be using retinol, or is it time for Botox? Let's talk about it. So there are a lot of women out there who haven't caught on to either the retinol or the Botox game, and they're just trying to enter the anti-aging or keep me fresher, longer conversation, and they really don't know where to begin. So if this is you, save this video because this video is for you, okay? The question is, which one is better to start with, retinol or Botox? And in this video, I'm going to talk about what they are, which one actually prevents wrinkles, which one is the more misunderstood, and how to build the smartest anti-aging strategy, especially if you're just starting out looking into this. So in the pursuit of wanting to look young, anti-aging has become the dominant conversation, right? It's about keeping a youthful look for longer. And yes, I'm a plastic surgeon, so I deal mostly with surgical ways of keeping a fresher look. In my mind, usually surgery isn't the first step, it's one of the later steps, right? But for some, it's the first step, and that's fine. Before we go into what Botox and retinol do, let's talk about the enemy of progress. I love an EOP. And that is wrinkles. So not all wrinkles are the same. And there are two main categories of wrinkles. There are dynamic wrinkles and there are static wrinkles or rhytids. Dynamic wrinkles are precisely that. They are wrinkles that you see when you make a movement in your face. So maybe little crow's feet when you smile, a little crinkle at the corner, a little laugh line that you may see, the forehead lines when you look surprised or when you raise an eyebrow, and maybe even the 11s that you see when you frown. Those are dynamic wrinkles. And when you're young and when your skin has good elasticity, good collagen, then you'll see those go away once the movement has stopped. Static wrinkles or rhytids are wrinkles that we see when your face isn't moving in that same way, when your face isn't making that motion. So those are forehead wrinkles that seem to never go away, even when you relax your face. Those are crow's feet that again you see when your face is fully relaxed and there's no smile and you're not smizing with your eyes. And that can happen over time. Dynamic wrinkles can become static wrinkles or rhytids over time with increasing age, increased loss of elasticity, increasing sun damage to the face. What they demonstrate is that your skin quality is rather poor comparatively. You have less elastin, less collagen, less support. And the reason why this is important is because retinol and Botox treat you in two different ways and treat two different things. So let's start with retinol. Retinol is a derivative of vitamin A. It's in the retinoid family. Over-the-counter retinol is typically milder compared to prescription T-retinoin, which is stronger and more compelling. The caveat to this is that T-retinoin is actually on the market now in the form of different gel or adapalene gel. And that was kind of revolutionary because we turned a prescription T-retinoin that is stronger and more effective into something that could be found over the counter. And for me, that's actually what I use. It's an acne cream, but I still use it as my daily retinol. The mechanism of both over-the-counter retinol and this T-retinoin that has now become over-the-counter is the same, even though one is a little bit stronger than the other. When you apply retinol to the face, it penetrates the skin, and it becomes an active version of itself called retinoic acid. What it does is it increases cell turnover, so it allows dead cells to shed faster. The other thing is it helps with collagen production. So not only are you rejuvenating the face by shedding dead cells faster, you're getting newer kind of skin tone because you're shedding dead cells faster, but you're also getting skin quality, increase in skin quality because of the new collagen production. So it does three things. It improves texture, it addresses actual static rhytids, static lines, and it helps greatly with sun damage and evens tone. So in my eyes, retinoids, retinol, T-retinoin, are for me a first line anti-aging therapy. I recommend to any patient who is looking to look more youthful, whether it's through surgical means or non-surgical means, that if retinol is not already in your arsenal, you need to get it today. And even if you're not looking for anti-aging, but you're just looking to improve your skin tone and skin texture, retinol is the way to go in my eyes. Now, there are a lot of newer schools of thought that are for those who argue against retinol and say the retinol isn't for everybody, and that's true. There are some people who cannot tolerate it. Retinol does come with some potential risk, and we'll talk about that in a second. But for me, so again, this is my personal opinion, my educated opinion as a plastic surgeon who also deals with skin and skin care, retinol, I think, is the foundation for any good strategy for skincare when thinking about anti-aging or just simply improving skin tone and skin texture. So as I said, there are some downsides to retinol usage. So one that I think is the biggest is that it can be very irritating to the skin. And that's why I always say whenever I talk about retinol, you need to start low and slow, right? Start every other night, if your skin feels irritated like it's burning, then take a break. The other downside is it makes you really sensitive to the sun, right? And so that can increase irritation and burning. So for that reason, you want to make sure that if you're using a retinoid, and be clear, T-retinoin and retinol should be used at night only, right before you go to bed, not when you wake up in the morning. Because it increases the likelihood that you will be more sensitive to the sun, it's best to use it at night. And then also means that when you are out in the sun during the day that you absolutely need to use sunscreen, you should be using it anyway, because that's also another kind of first line in making sure that you are not getting, that's also first line in anti-aging, is making sure that you're protected from the sun, the ultimate EOP of the youthful appearance. And yet one more thing to do is to make sure that you use a great facial moisturizer in addition to using sunscreen, and making sure that you're going low and slow with the retinol and using it only at night. Botox. Botox is a neuromodulator. It actually does not address the skin directly, but rather the muscle beneath the skin. So remember, or maybe this is new to you, the face is the only place where muscle connects bone to skin or soft tissue. Every other place in the body, muscle connects bone to bone so that we have mobility and motion, right? But the face is the only place where we have bone to soft tissue connection with muscle. Normally when there is facial motion, there is a chemical that is released that is called acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is basically a signal to the muscle to contract. Botox is an acetylcholine receptor blockade, so the muscle does not get that message, and so it relaxes and it stays relaxed. The effect is temporary, and I've said before that you need typically Botox to be repeated in sessions with an interval in between of about 3 to 4 months. Sometimes people's biology makes it so they require Botox more often, sometimes less often. Botox is great for prevention of wrinkles because it works with dynamic rhytids or wrinkles, right? Because it's relaxing the muscle, it is preventing dynamic rhytids, which eventually become static rhytids. Now, there are some people who love a frozen look with Botox, and I can't. I cannot. Please do not come to me if you think I'm going to give you Botox and make you look frozen. That's not the point of it. That's poor technique, that's overdosing, that's exaggeration to the highest degree. We all know as natural girly, a natural surgery girly, whatever that means to you. But no, to me that means that I always want you to have a natural look, even if that means that you've been treated surgically. But at the end of the day, I'm not trying to create glam bots, right? But rather people who look like a more enhanced version of themselves. Botox works quickly, although it does take about 5 to 7 days to take effect and works quickly when you compare that to retinol, especially because retinol takes weeks to take effect. At least 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, I would say, but sometimes even up to 12 weeks before you see the effects of retinol. So which one is the better start? I think that depends on what your goal is. If you have static rhytids today and you want to soften them without going under the knife, then start retinol. Go to your local drugstore, your local CVS, Duane Reade, Walgreens, Rite Aid, I think is closed forever, wherever your pharmacy, and get retinol. Even if it's a weaker form of retinol that you find in a cream, a toner, anything is better than nothing. That is where you start today. If you are newer to the game and say, I want to prevent some wrinkles, then Botox may be the way to start. But you know what? Actually, as I say this, I realize that I don't think Botox is the first answer. I think retinol is the very first answer, right? Retinol is the answer for where to start actually when thinking about anti-aging, when thinking about improving skin tone and texture. Absolutely, hands down, way to start if you've never done anything at all in the form of skincare. And even if you do, it's a good addition to what you're already doing. So Botox is great for treating dynamic rhytids. It does not treat static rhytids, but retinol definitely will, and retinol is the way to go. All right, what do you think? Have you tried retinoin, T-retinoin, or retinol and not liked it? Are you scared of Botox? Talk to me about why. Leave your comments and your questions below. As always, love you lots, and bye for now.